I want to open us first with a word of prayer. God, everything has changed so quickly. Our daily routines are upended. We are isolated at home, bored, lonely, and impatient. Help us to trust you enough to yield control to you. Give us opportunities to practice patience. Teach us to change the rhythm of our lives so that we learn to wait with hope. In the name of Jesus, amen. My name is Beth Hayes. I'm the Director of Congregational Ministries and Resources for the Moravian Church Board of Cooperative Ministries in the Southern Province, and I'm glad to have everybody with us today. We're going to do this in two different kind of segments. The first segment, we're going to talk a little bit about Sunday school curriculum or Sunday school options that you might try for the summer and how you can get to them. And then the second, there will be a brief poll in the middle that Hannah will be doing that would help us if you would, it will be so easy to do. And if you would give us the response, that might help us to have some direction with how we're going to go in the future. And then the last part of the webinar will be on Vacation Bible School. What are you going to do? How are you going to adapt your plans? What's out there that might work? So many of the, lots of information, and hopefully we will share everything in the resource page at the moravianbcm.org. There's a section on that has the resources that I will mention, or they may not all be up to date if you'll give us till in the morning, if it's something that we're going to add to it. But you can go there, so hopefully that will clarify things a lot. Somebody asked me the other day, how are you spending your days? And I said, well, the last week I've spent my days on the phone talking to umpteen publishers and helping to understand where things are going to go in the summer, what people can do, and what are they thinking in the fall is going to happen. So it's been very enlightening, but it changes from day to day. So just let me know that there is nothing constant in what I say or convey. Those of you, and I think most everybody, is a customer, meaning that you have bought curriculum from us sometimes in the past year. If you are a customer, you have gotten a letter that has a dedicated website with a password link to it. On that website are the links to how you can get to many of these things. So you are free to go there, but remember, you need to have purchased something from us for us to be able to share this with you. And like I said, I think most everybody on the webinar is in that category, but I would invite you, we're going to update it in the next couple of days as soon as publishers land and what they're going to do for the summer. We will update all the links and let y'all have privy to it and everything. But I wanted to try to introduce a little bit. You asked, why is faith formation important right now? You hear so much on the internet swirling around everywhere about online church services and doing things virtually and things like this, and that's all really important. But equally important is to share the opportunities that you have to do faith formation at home, that virtually at home. Some of it you have to access and add to. Some of it's done for you, and it's just simply a matter of getting to the link. And there's no reason why any home, whether it has children, youth, adults, can't do some sort of faith formation. And that's so critical because we don't want to lose that aspect of our life together and our learning together. So I invite you to know that it is very important, and the publishers are well aware of everything that's going on. And they have been most gracious, I have to say, in the spring for supplying free links to many of the things that you have been using in your Sunday school classes. And you could say you have had the opportunity, if you went to the links, to be able to do virtual Sunday school along the way, and that's important. But let me tell you why I think it's important. During this global pandemic, we are taking things week by week. We can't rush into things, and oftentimes it's more like a day by day thing. With so much uncertainty, it's hard to know when we will return to what gathering in our buildings was like. As summer draws closer, parishioners are asking, will VBS be canceled? That was a question that's already come up earlier before we got on the webinar. Are we still going on mission trips? What's going to happen to camp? Or the most important question, what are we, do we go back to normal Sunday school, or are we going to do it virtually, or what are we going to do? Each church and each organization has to answer those questions for themselves, because we can't supply all those answers, but there are some things to consider when you talk about what you're going to do. The pandemic has called us all to have the capacity to focus on what is essential in our lives. In the first few weeks of the global crisis, we didn't have the capacity to think about Sunday school. As we get into a little bit more of the new normal and the new rhythms, we're likely to begin to think, well, you know, we've done worship, we've managed to do some creative things. Why can't we do this with Sunday school? And so maybe it's a time to focus on what's really essential in your life. But one of the best pieces of advice I can give you during this time is don't try to produce a ton of new stuff. Do one or two things, but do it well. And that's the important part, because our communities are the expressions of the body of Christ, and we're blessed with lots of gifts. And we can do this. It might be a good chance for us to begin to use some of those gifts that maybe we haven't used before. So I think that's important. We're discovering new ways to help people to live out their Christian faith. If you go to a passage in the Bible in Acts, the 2nd chapter, verses 42 through 47, I'm going to read it from the Message Bible, which happens to be the translation that I had around, and it spoke to me. Everyone around was in awe. All those wonders and signs done through the apostles, and all the believers lived in a wonderful harmony, holding everything in common. They sold whatever they owned and pooled their resources so that each person's needs was met. They followed the daily discipline of worship in the temple, followed by meals at home, every meal a celebration, exuberant and joyful as they praised God. People in general liked what they saw. Every day their number grew as God added those who were saved. This is an accounting of what life was like in the early church. Not totally different than what we're experiencing today. And I wanted to ask the question, have you ever thought maybe that's what church was meant to be? So go back and read that passage again. It's Acts 2:42 through 47, and that's a picture of what the early church was and the community that was there. And maybe we should begin to think more like, well, what's that been like? We're at home now, yes. We're baking bread. We're gathering in households. We're sacrificing so that we can have our needs met. We're beginning to pare down. We're very vulnerable, and we're very relational. But begin to think about some of the questions when you think about what you're doing virtually. How do we pray differently? What about storytelling? Do we tell things in different ways as witnesses? Do we retreat in different ways in our lives as we social distance? What about the service to our neighbors? How do we show hospitality to a stranger in this time? So those are all questions that we should be asking along the way. I want to focus a little bit on what the publishers are saying. Again, I said in the spring, they gave many, many free resources, free links to people who were purchasers of Sunday school curriculum. And they felt like it was important that those people have access to be able to carry on if they wanted to. So they began publishing links to the Present Word, to the Bible in Life, lots of different curriculum links. And they were very gracious in doing this. What you're finding out in the summer is that, yes, you'll see some of the links again. It depends on the different publisher. Some of the publishers have said, we can't keep giving this stuff away for free. Some of them say, yeah, we'll provide the links as long as it's a customer who has bought the stuff in the past. So again, go to that website that Hannah posted in the chat box and look to see what those links are. But even if you can't get to those links, there are lots of free resources that are out there right now. CokesburyKids.com is probably one of the best sites to list some free resources that you can use in your Sunday school classes. So take advantage of those links that you see. Take advantage of what you want to do in your Sunday school for the summer, virtual. For most of you, it's going to be virtual because I think there are probably very few areas where there is Sunday school that has restarted. And if it has, there are all kinds of things that you need to take into consideration. There was a great webinar yesterday put on by the Wisconsin Council of Churches that talked a little bit about how when Sunday schools are able to resume, they're going to be different. People are going to be a little bit hesitant. Do I want to send my kids into a Sunday school class setting? Am I willing as an adult to be in a classroom with everybody again? So those are all things that you've got to consider. And the publishers, again, have taken this into consideration. Many of them are providing the links for the summer so you can do stuff virtually. If they are not provided, there are lots of options out there, such as the CokesburyKids.com. There's a section called free resources that you can access there. Again, I don't know how long that's going to stay up, but I'm assuming for a little while longer that will be available. One of the things that there were tips that one of the publishers gave me, and they were really good. So I'm going to put them in the resource page after today. But these tips were, how can you do virtual Sunday school? Or, how does this work? Well, when it comes to the print resources, your people may not have access to those print resources like they did. But that doesn't mean that you can't do a curbside pickup to distribute those print resources to your people if they give you advance noting. Or it doesn't mean that you can't go to their home, leave a package at their door. Maybe it would have a loaf of bread or a piece of fruit or something that would say, we're thinking about you. These are the Sunday school lessons that we're going to be studying this summer. Here's the print version that you're used to. Many of the Present Word customers, which is where these ideas are coming from, that's the top #1 seller in Sunday school curriculum out of the Resource Center, but they're mainly classes of 50 plus in age, and they may not be comfortable on the internet or on Zoom meetings, but it's still important to them that they have that print piece in their hand and that they can do something with it. Now, you ask, those of you that are customers have been asked, do you have a need for the print resources? Because if you are going to take up one of these ideas, we are providing a way for you to get the print resources. Currently our offices are closed, but they are being shipped directly to my house. I am taking sanitation rules and wiping each and every one of them off. And we will communicate with the customers when they can come for a curbside pickup at the BCM offices in probably the last week in May. So that's, for some of the churches, and I would say it's maybe, I've heard from maybe a quarter of the churches that we service that yes, they do want this option. And so we are providing this for you. If you haven't told me, you have until tomorrow morning. That's not long, but to be able to get print versions of the resources. And then we're going to have to just call it quits and say, you're going to go virtual, we're assuming, and you can get to the links if they're available online, if you happen to be working with a publisher that has provided the links. So that's really important. But those are some great tips about how you can virtually have faith formation for, I don't care if it's kids, youth, adults, whatever. There are ways that you can do it. It's going to be very important, and I can't believe I'm sticking this in here right now, but it's going to be very important when we come to we're trying to provide for you for the summer and let you do virtual faith formation in lots of different ways with lots of different ideas. But when it comes to the fall, we are still in a wait and see guess situation, what we're going to be doing. The publishers are all telling me, yeah, we're going back to the way that it was. I'm not so sure. So we're actually putting off, many of you know that you would be ordering instructions for the fall about now, with a deadline of the 1st of July. All of that is changing. We're going to, in June, we're going to do webinars and meetings about some of the new options that publishers are coming out with for the fall. Then you will have the chance to order, and it will have a different deadline to it, and it may have a different policy. We're not at all sure right now, but you will have opportunities to hear about this. So it's really important that you keep this on your radar screen and know that we're going to try to help you as much as we can, but we have to be able to communicate with each other about your needs and what you're feeling and things like this. This is a great time for me to share, and I'm going to ask Hannah if she'll put it in the chat box, but this is a great time for you to copy my email down, bhayes@mcsp.org, because I will constantly check my email and I will respond to you about any question that you have, whether it be about summer, whether it be about fall, whatever. But it's not like I'm not working right now. I am probably working harder than I did, just as hard as I did in the office. But I would be glad to share any of this information. But like I said, we're hearing more and more, especially from the webinar that I was on yesterday, that churches may not be ready in the fall. They may need a little bit more time to jump into their new routine. It's not going to be back to the normal ever. It will be new. So, you know, we're kind of in a wait and see game about how this is going to go. And we want people to feel comfortable when we do physically be able to get together, that we want it to be in a safe environment, and we don't need to rush it. Because there's lots out there that you can do at home for faith formation. So keep this in mind along the way. And again, keep in touch with me, because I will keep you in touch with what I'm hearing from publishers and how it's going to go in the fall, because it will be different along the way. I'm going to pause it right now, because I mentioned that ordering was very important. You customers, you people that are on this webinar are very important to me and are very important to our decisions that we make about how we're going to do ordering and curriculum options in the future. So we're going to take this opportunity, since we have so many people on the webinar, to do a short webinar poll that Hannah is going to conduct. And we'll be able to save the results and hear what some of the responses were. So Hannah, I'm going to turn it over to you and let you do the poll, and I will get ready to do VBS after the poll.
So I'm going to send out the poll and then give you a few minutes to answer. There are just a few questions. I think there's 4 and they're multiple choice. I am going to drop in a question into the chat. This was a question that's a little more, it needs more than just a checkbox answer. So feel free to just personally send a message just to me. We're trying to gauge what each church is going through and how their thoughts on curriculum, faith formation, how things are going. So we thought this would be a good time to kind of get a feel of what's going on out there. So I'm going to drop in the question into the chat box, and then I'm going to send out the poll. We're going to wait a few minutes. So if you don't have to answer the question in the chat box right away, you can think on it, and it's not a hard question, but send in that one now, and I'm going to send out the poll as well. So there you go.
Okay, so has everybody had a chance to do the poll? Have I given enough time?
No.
Okay. We are hoping that this wasn't asking you difficult stuff, but that it would help you a little bit with focusing how you're feeling, and then help us to know what do we need to supply to help you in the future. There are a great many questions that have come up about Vacation Bible School, because people are beginning to say, am I going to do Vacation Bible School this summer? What do we need to do? Do we need to drop back and change? Do we need to continue along the way? What is the best option? Well, I can't answer what the best option is for you, because even if you were an experienced teacher, you still wouldn't know the best option, because these are different times, for sure. The publishers are providing the ordinary material for Vacation Bible School just like normal. The publishers that we work with, most Cokesbury and Group are both offering options to consider doing some of the Vacation Bible School virtually, because you got to understand that your families are probably not going to feel comfortable in a setting, bringing their kids out yet. And especially if you've got a June or early July Vacation Bible School, you might get by with it in late August, but those publishers are going to keep the options that they had for this year open for next year. So if you bought something, you're not going to be, out of luck whatsoever, because you'll be able to use it next summer. So hang into it. Don't just chunk it. But that doesn't answer the question of, well, what are we going to do this summer? We feel like Vacation Bible School is important. It was always the highlight of my summer as a child growing up. And I think it's the one time where we can have some dedicated time to teach our children things that need to be taught in a concentrated time. So I would plead with you, don't chunk Vacation Bible School altogether. I'm going to give you a couple options that have come out that will help you to do. Perhaps if you're dropping back and saying, I'm going to totally, try to do something different, and you don't know exactly what you want to do, but you know that it needs to be virtual. I'm going to give you a highlight of a couple that I have looked at that I feel like are worthy of recommending to you. And I hope that it will help you to make that decision of, do I just don't do Bible school? Do I do it virtually, meaning we're going to do it online? And that can mean some, an educator or a leader leading some of it virtually on a Zoom, or it can mean that you're doing it via a video and as a family, and you're all doing it together. One thing we have been hearing a lot, we've been hearing two things. Number one is that kids are tired of screen time. They need, they need to be with families, but they need to do some constructive things that don't necessarily have to be screen time. We also are hearing that parents are a little overwhelmed, especially if you are homeschooling, or if you've got school-age children and you've had to try to deal with homeschooling. That's a real challenge, and we don't want to put more on your plate than you can handle. So there are advantages to all of these options that I'm going to tell you about. But the first option that I'm going to tell you about, if you'll switch it to the first screen, this is the BOLT curriculum. It's put out by an organization called Go, and I knew nothing about them when I looked at this. But when they sent me the sample of the first lesson, I said, oh my goodness, this is so what people need. You can do this. It's all done for you. The parents don't have to do anything. It does have screen time, but it also allows for a lot of creativity. And I absolutely think it was a great option along the way. You can buy BOLT in two different ways. If your church is going to try to do something together with, and they're going to try to provide some guidance with it, then you can buy the church edition it'll list it for $179, but if you use the tag Moravian in there, you're going to get it for $149. That's the church version. It gives you the option to use it with as many families as you want to in your church, and you could do a section with your families together and then do it separately and have options to join together in the end with the Zoom. So that's a great thought of doing that. There are, I hope I'm going to tell you right about this. There are 4 Bible lessons, or 3 Bible lessons that are concentrated on in this. And if you go to this website, which is should be in the resources, you will see the Bible lessons that are concentrated on. Now, when you get this, you're going to get a video. It's going to be a Zoom. It's going to have a game on there. It's going to have a song on there. It's going to have they lead a craft. They have a video that tells the Bible story. So it's virtually everything that's in your Bible school is done for you. And you just have to be able to control, okay, we're going to cut the video off and play the game now. And then come back and kind of talk about, well, how did the game go? What was it? And I had a lot of fun doing this particular one. So I'm hoping that other people would pick up on this. I think it's a great alternative and will help you out. Again, you can buy it individually for the family too. So if you decide you want to offer this to your families, but you don't want to pay for it for every family in your church, your families can buy this for, I think it's $25 or $29.99. It's on the information, and it will, when you go to the website, and they can do it as a family, and nobody else in the church has to be doing it, but it gives you, these families, something that they can do during the summer. And I think it really is a good option along the way. So that's one option. The second option that I wanted to tell you about was something put out by Illustrated Children's Moment, which is an organization that many of you have used for some other things in your ministry. Hannah, if you switch the slide, we can go to that one. It's called, but these people have done a great job very fast of putting together a 5-session family Bible school. You can see what the themes are: at the table, to the neighbor, for myself, as we move, and with the world. And it does not have a video component, but it has a lot of artistic components, and everything else that you will need is particularly in this particular curriculum. They are very solid with what they do. A lot of people have used them for worship bulletins, for other things. So I would suggest that you look at this. The curriculum is due out in the next couple weeks. And so it says it'll be available by early June. But what you do is when you buy it, it's just like Bolt. You get something sent to you as a download, and you download it and do it. And it's again one of these great things. You can buy it for the whole church and use every family, send it to every family in the church, or you can buy it. The individual families can buy it and buy into it. So it's really solid. Their stuff is very good. This describes a little bit about it, and I would strongly advise you to look at these 2 options. There are other options. GenoneMinistries.com has an option of one that they have adapted, and it is available out of my resource center, but they've made it virtual, and so you can go in and see it. And then if you decide, hey, I really would like to try that, I will be glad to go to the resource center, get that resource, and get it to you in some way. It's very, very good. But these are all ways that you can do VBS. I just want to encourage you to not give up on VBS, it's an important teaching tool in our ministry, and we don't want to forget about that along the way. So let me say one other word. If you go to the same website, this illustratedministry.com, they offer weekly free leaflets that you can send to your family free. So you're looking for free stuff. So if you're looking for free summer Sunday school options for your kids, go there and get on their website to get the link. The links usually come Monday of the week or Tuesday of the week. They are, I think I'm saying this right, I think they're lectionary based, and they're really pretty good. So that's another option for how you can do faith formation. Again, on our website, we have listed all these resources that you can find, and there are umpteen million more that we probably have left off, but this will get you started, and this is an easy way for you to look at some stuff, to do faith formation. It's also, one of the publishers came up with the idea that it was a great opportunity if you are in a place where you're trying to figure out, oh, will this work in my church, or what's this going to be like? You can experiment with some of these options during the summer for free, and that way you can look and say, oh, I'm going to buy into that. So that's the important part along the way. I did not go into each one of the Sunday school curriculums in particular, but most all of them are offering some things that are available. If you are a church that's using Spark House right now, you probably need to look at the digital version of Spark House and buying into that, because it gives you the option of all of their curriculum lines in one fell swoop, and all the DVDs are there. You get the DVD, the Leader's Guide, and the supplemental resources, not the leaflets, but everything else, all for digitally for a set price. So instead of, think about that, because you may be spending that much on print curriculum where you could be spending it digitally and getting a whole lot more to offer along the way. I'll be glad to pause now, because that's about the extent of the information that I have. If there are questions, I will be glad to try to answer them. Have I thoroughly muddied the water?
Someone, Charlotte asked if Bolt gets the kids and families outdoors.
Yes, very much so. The game activity was incredible. It was fun. And it is outdoors, and it can be done with a family of 2, or it can be done in a family of 6. I mean, it doesn't make any difference. The story is told via video. It's a very catchy video. There is a craft. Some of it could be done outdoors. It hand walks you through the craft. It's not hard. It doesn't require a lot of materials. And I think I saw the question in there, or the thing about Spark House. Spark House Digital will work, is providing it free for the summer for you to try if you want to, a month, for 1 month. I only say that because we have some churches that are using the print version, but you could, if you're using the print version of Spark or something like that that doesn't have a video component, but it's lectionary based, then you could use the videos from World, which is another one in their curriculum that is lectionary based, and mix the two.
Hey, Beth and everybody.
Yes.
This is Charlotte, and we use both Spark House and Whirl at Epiphany, and we normally don't do Sunday school through the summer, but we contacted both the publishing houses, and we didn't have digital access for some of our curriculum, and both Spark House and Augsburg for Whirl gave us a free month's worth of digital access. So the videos that we were playing via DVD at church, they allowed us the digital link to send it to the families. So that's what we've been doing. We haven't made a decision about the summer, but I'm pretty sure they would offer, if you already have the curriculum purchased in paper, they will definitely work with you. I don't know about just trying it out initially, though. Just wanted to let y'all know that.
And let me just say that this is contrary to, this is the way that the curriculum world is revolving and changing for me. If it's an item like the Spark House Digital, we can't do that through our resource center because it's a digital download. So it has to be done straight through Spark House. But I would highly encourage people to use that because it gives you so many options. And I do think that the way of the future is going to be some virtual stuff, not all print resources in a classroom, but we're going to have to combine some virtual stuff. And this is a great move to do that. So I'm putting in a plug for them because I think it would work very well.
Beth, we had someone say, I thought I heard them say in a webinar yesterday about reentry that children and youth may be the last group of people to return to church.
Right. That's the same webinar that we were on. I have access to it now. I have not listened to all of it, but when they talked about children and youth, they said that's an area where people are really concerned about how we're going to do this and how we're going to make parents comfortable doing this. And so that's why they're saying that's going to be the very last thing of reentry. And it may well go into the fall. Now, I can't predict that right now, but I think that's a pretty good gauge along the way.
And we've had
publishers are not, they've offered this stuff, you know, they've been over backwards to offer it free for as long as they could, but they can't continue to do that because they can't continue to survive to do that. So, you know, don't expect all the freebie stuff that you see right now to continue. Somebody gonna ask?
And then we had a question asking if the Spark videos are only available until June 7th.
No, one of the ways that people were going to get the Spark videos was if they're getting them from Amazon Prime, you're going to be able to get them past that. I don't know of another way that you can get them for free right now. Somebody may know more than me, but I do know that somebody told me we found out last week that you could go to Amazon Prime and send that way.
That seems to be all the questions I have so far in the chat.
This is Charlotte again. Would we not, if we're sending something out to families, would we not be violating copyright unless we go through the publisher?
You have to go through the publisher. Right.
I just want to clarify that because
yes, please, you have to go through the publisher for that to happen. That's just a given. If you're going to read a book, online. You've seen a lot of that done this spring as a way to share stories. It's fine as long as you're using something like the Flyaway books from the PCUSA are great books that people are reading online. But they've given their copyright permission to do that. But not every book can be done that way. So you have to do that on an individual basis, kind of. And let me say, please, if you get 1 million emails from me this summer or in the next month and stuff, everything is changing so rapidly. And all that information is going to be critically important, because we don't want you to get caught in I'm just using this hypothetically, in the end of August and say, oh, well, we've decided we're going back to a physical classroom, doing all the safety stuff that we have to do and everything. We have to know that if we are ordering curriculum for you. So please, please, please watch those communications. And I'm thinking that probably by the end of June, we will be saying how we're going to proceed for the next year, and if we're going to be taking orders or if we're going to direct you straight to publishers. We have lots of options that are out there, but we will make recommendations. We will communicate as much as we can about how we can get this stuff to you, but we don't want to rush into anything, and we certainly don't want to rush into reentry until churches are ready.